This video was made possible thanks to the EA Creator Network.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the World and Build By Overview for the brand new The Sims 4 Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack. First of all, I would like to thank the EA Creator Network for providing me with early access to this pack so that I could check it out for you guys. And second of all, I would like to clarify that I have an early version of the game, which means that it might differ from the version that you will see on release day. So do keep that in mind when you continue on with this video. So without further ado, let's get to it. Here we are. Welcome to Nordhaven. The very first thing we will notice is the brand new map icon we can find here on the menu. It has a coastal town scene in the background here, and you can also see this adorable animation of a cat jumping onto a bike that will appear and disappear. Let's see what the description tells us, shall we? This northern coastal city is known for its thriving independent local businesses and the enchanting beauty of its cold seasons. Take a walk through the historic views of Gammelvik with its cobbled streets, classic architecture, and picturesque canals. Or hop on the train to Everstad and explore how the locals are reinventing the industrial city center. Whether you seek to make your business flourish or just want to practice your hobbies with a cozy community, you will always find an opportunity here. Okay, so let's check out Nordhaven. So this is what we see from the map view. Like the description said, it has two neighborhoods. So we have Gammelvik and we have Everstad. Now I can actually translate these for you guys because it's, well, my kind of language. It's Nordic, and the three Nordic languages, Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian, is quite similar. So Gammelvik translates to Old Bay. Gammel means old and Vik means bay. Everstad, Eved is actually a pretty common male first name here, and Stad translates to town or city. So Everstad can be Evers town or Evers city if you'd like. Of course, the first thing we have to talk about is the fact that this is Nordic. It is Nordic. It's the first purely Nordic inspired world that we've seen so far. So of course that's really exciting. The main inspiration for the pack has been Stockholm, Sweden. But it does also draw on elements from other cities, not only Nordic cities either. It draws on inspiration from Copenhagen, Berlin, Amsterdam, which is pretty clear since most people assumed it was Amsterdam in the beginning when they saw the trailer. And it even picks up elements from the Northern Quarter in Manchester or Camden Market in London. So there's quite a few different elements here that they all bring into this pack, but it's Stockholm, Sweden that is the main inspiration behind Nordhaven. So that being said, let's look at the lots. So there are 12 lots with this pack, and they vary in size from 2015 up to 5040. Yep, that's right. There's no 6464 with this pack, but we do have no less than 3 50x40s. So that's at least something. I will leave the lot sizes up on the map for you so that you can note them down for yourself. The other thing I noticed is that we actually have 4 lots that are unbuilt or empty, if you'd like. That means that the builders for this pack actually have only built 2 builds each, and 4 are therefore left empty for us. So that seems to be a new thing that the team has tried. I can't remember them having left this many lots empty before. So I'm wondering if that's maybe based on some community feedback. I know often people will ask for more empty lots or even full worlds that are completely empty and unbuilt. So maybe this is sort of a trial from the team to see how the feedback on this is. Not sure. What do you think? Personally, I kind of don't really think one thing or the other. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter if it's built or not built because I just bulldoze whatever I need to build wherever I want to. So in my case, it doesn't really matter if it's unbuilt or not. Both are fine for me. Now let's get back to the builders. I mentioned there were 4, and the 4 are Eva Rotky, Kellyhartx, Lyrene35, and Yohannabuilds. So I'm going to leave their names over the builds that they did for the pack on the map so that you can note that down for yourself. But do keep in mind that when I'm going through the next parts of the video, I'm not going to remember who built which build. So I'm kind of going through it blind in that sense. But there is one exception, and that is Lyrene. That's because she is a personal friend of mine, and I'm super excited that she was able to work on this pack. She's from Denmark, and I think she's a perfect fit, and I'm super happy to see that she got to work on it. So her builds I have memorized for that reason, slightly biased, but yeah, therefore you might notice that I do mention the builds that she did. Having said that, let's check out Gammelvik. Take a walk down the historic streets of Gammelvik and immerse yourself in the culture of Nordhaven's oldest district. Locals here like to take it slow, travel to work on their vintage bikes, and take long strolls by the old canals at night. Check out the central square for its hobby meetups and markets, or visit a lounge for a warm night of music. I can read. This is fine. So let's check out the museum first. This is called Konstmodern. Konst is the Swedish word for art. In Norwegian, it would be kunst, so quite similar. This one. Following popular community vote, the old museum of Gammelvik was renovated into a state-of-the-art contemporary facility, with a new modern wing equipped with workstations for the community to learn pottery, painting, and woodworking, hereby presenting the new Konstmodern. Let's check it out, shall we? So this is pretty much as described. We have the historic building here, and then you can see this hyper-modern wing here where we have all these workbenches ready for classes of different varieties. So woodworking, painting, and pottery. I do think my favorite part of this lot is its location. You can see that you have the city of Gammelvik kind of out this way. You have the mountains, trees, but also that you get this part here where you have, it's not along the coast, but it reminds me of these cottages, and you will often see them along the coastline in Sweden, these red cottages. It's also kind of funny because in Norway, we don't necessarily have these red cottages that are typical, but we have red barns instead. So if you drive along here, you might see the classic sort of white farmhouse, but we will have these red and white barns. Sweden, it's cottages. So I like that about this lot, that you have that view. It's a nice museum. Let's check out the inside. So it's very monochrome, and I think that makes sense for a museum because it's a museum, so it's the art that's meant to stand out, not the interior itself. So I think that makes sense. And it is quite nice. It's modern. It's well done, I would say. Next is the Rouge Note. If I pronounce that correctly, I hope I do. The Rouge Note is the go-to place for all the cool cats in Nordhaven to enjoy themselves after a long day of hard work. Savor the smooth music, let the sultry vibes in, dream of what the night could bring. It's a bit of a rhyme there at the very end. So this is quite an unusual site and not what I expected when I zoned into this lot, mostly because the facade is brick. So in this kind of surrounding, I wouldn't expect to find a brick building, and also not in this type of style. Now, having said that, I actually had a similar experience yesterday in real life, where I was driving to a neighboring town, and I was driving through these fields actually, and they had all these quaint farmhouses and smaller homes along the road. And I came by this house that was a very traditional sort of Norwegian style house, and most of our homes here are weatherboard. But it was unusual because it was built entirely in brick, and you almost never see that in Norway because, you know, wood is so much more accessible to us. So most of the houses here are built in wood. So I can't really fault them for doing this in this case because I've seen it done in real life as well. So I do think it brings a vibe though. This is a lounge and brick makes sense. So inside, I definitely feel this is the strong point of this build. The dark red and the mood, well, it sets a vibe, doesn't it? I would like to hang out at this lounge, that's for sure. There's also a basement, which I found really cozy, so you can have live music down here. You have a piano. That's a whole different vibe. And then you have the toilets up here. So I like this. I really like the interior of this. Next, we have one of Lyreen's builds. This is the Coffee Boon. Let's see. Right at the heart of Gammelvik, this classic 4-bedroom building lives at the center of this city's community and history. Okay, that didn't really say much about the lot itself, did it? We'll have to check it out for ourselves. So the first thing that really strikes me about this lot in particular is how well it blends in with the rest of the, well, with its surroundings, really. I remember having a similar thought with some of the builds in Lovestruck, where I actually had to check the boundaries of the lot to see what part was part of the lot and which was the actual surroundings, because I was having a hard time distinguishing it. And I think that's really cool. I think that's how it should be. Like, it should blend well into its surroundings. So I like that about this lot. So here on the top floor, there looks to be an apartment, a residential apartment. The second floor seems to be yet another apartment, quite a bit larger than the first one. This has a whole 3 bedrooms, which is quite spacious. And then the bottom floor is the home business. So this looks to be like a coffee shop, essentially. You have the coffee bar here, small kitchenette in here. And then what I really liked was the tables here by the window, because it's such a thing you see at coffee shops here, at least in Oslo and areas, where you can sit and people watch or work or do whatever you'd like while enjoying your coffee. I like that about this build. The last build is the Old Torget house. Torget means square, so old square house. This is the only starter for this pack, which you can see based on the price. So this is probably where a lot of you is going to start out when you come to Nordhaven. After years of disuse, this old classic building has been recently refurbished and is finally on the market. Facing one of the oldest squares in Gammelvik, it's a dreamy little house for anyone wishing to immerse themselves in the culture of this historic neighborhood. Right? So similar to the last lot, I think this blends in really well with its surroundings. It's the same style of house as the ones around it. It is a little bit simpler, but that's also because this is a starter house, so it makes sense. The interior with this I found really interesting too, because it is, at least to me, very quintessentially Scandinavian modern. Why? Because white walls everywhere and wood floors and this light wood furniture. Normally in Norway, it's like a lot of pine and such. But yeah, this light wood, yeah, very spot on. Very spot on. If you ask me anyway. Same thing here, carries through the entire house, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do also like that you have this space here. It's an open space, so if you have any hobby that you want to start to develop and maybe eventually make into a business, you can very easily do that in this starter, which is a good thing. Now, as much as I think it fits really well into the Scandinavian style, this is exactly the type of Scandinavian style I do not like, because I'm not a very modern person. I don't like minimalism, and that tends to be what modern Scandinavian design is all about. And also, I've rented homes for decades, well, yeah, 10, 15 years, and they're always white walls. There's always white walls to the point where I'm allergic to white. I cannot have white. I do not have a single white wall in my entire house for this reason. So just a personal opinion. Just a personal opinion to me. But it's a well-made starter. I think it covers what it needs to do, and it's a good place to start out. The other two lots are here at the bottom of the map, and that's the empty 2 lots for this neighborhood. Let's check out Iverstad, shall we? It has a very different vibe than Gammelvik. Originally the industrial district of the city, Iverstad has recently turned into a natural settling spot for ambitious and stylish Sims. Many of its old factories have been repurposed as living spaces, and extensive terrains have recently been made available for new developments. Cross the bridge to the central island to check out its hobby meetups and meet the young community of this growing neighborhood. Just maybe steer clear of that one dark alley. They say a shady character hangs out there at night. So that's a nice little throwback to the trailer if you haven't watched that. There's 4 built lots on this as well. And we're going to start with this one. Small business residential. With this lot, you can reach for the stars. This beautiful industrial conversion is perfect for anyone looking for ample space to pursue their hobbies and dreams. Spilled Neon is the name. Now, I don't actually feel the description actually tells me much about what this is. Maybe the name hints more than the actual description does, but we'll check it out. So as you can see, it's a very different vibe here than in Gammelvik. We have all these old factory buildings surrounding here. There's a lot of brick, a lot of industry. So yeah, whole different vibe. We have the house here looking very clean. I like the brick and the black. It's a very nice combination. There's a nice little roof terrace here. I like that they have some green. Someone looks to be sitting up here reading a book. Very nice. This seems to be a loft-style apartment, which I think fits really well in with this kind of build. A lot of space, a lot of open space, which is also quite common in these types of builds. And then the ground floor is the business, and this looks to be a tattoo shop. So you can book your appointments, you can sit and wait for your turn, and this is where the magic happens. This is where you get your tattoo done. It also has a small restroom here if you need that. So a really, really nice, cool hangout spot if you want to get a tattoo, I guess. Next, we have this. This is a residential. The old foundry. Back in the day, this brick building functioned as a small foundry used to produce metal castings. It's now being repurposed as a contemporary living space with an added top floor for a scenic view of the central areas of Iverstad. Right? From the looks of it, it's a similar type of style as the last one, like modern industrial. Very nice, this roof terrace. Really cute. You can see the the blend between the old and the new. We have the parts of it here being the old factory and where they've added on it with the newer parts of the building. Very unusually tall walls, if you ask me, but at the same time it makes sense because this wasn't built as a residential, it was built as a factory. Good use of space. Modern, nice. Lots of space. And yes, I do agree that this probably is one of the nicest views you could get in this area. Look at that. Nice view to the lighthouse. Let's see. So this is another small business residential. Terracotta. Surrounded by green open space, this is the ideal island of tranquility to take a break from the brutality of the city's industrial buildings. So here they've gone with a slightly different approach, or a slightly different style, I guess is a better way of putting it. So this is a very, what I consider anyway, a very typical Scandinavian modern build. Mostly characterized by the fact that they're very boxy, like straight walls, etc. But more so the windows. So the windows tend to be a lot of different sizes and they tend to be very asymmetrical, almost looking like someone just randomly threw a bunch of windows in and didn't really care too much about where they ended up, to be honest. And this fits really well. It kind of looks like a duplex because of how this one has been built. As for the interior, it kind of breaks with the exterior a little bit in that the residential part is here on the second floor. You can see it has 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and then the main living area here. And then the bottom floor is the actual business. So you can see here is probably where production happens. They look equipped to be able to handle lessons too if needed. And here's where they display everything they make and sell them for profit. So nicely done. The last lot here in Everstad is the park, New Harbor Park. This is also made by Lyrene. There once was a city plan for this green plot to house a new business. Nobody knows exactly what it was going to be. The project fell through, leaving not much more than an empty shell of a building. Yet the locals still hope that an ambitious entrepreneur might one day turn it into something. It's a very unusual approach to a park, isn't it? I remember for Horse Ranch, you know, Ashley did quite a good job on turning what was originally meant and pitched as a park into that. Well, I don't know how to describe it, but essentially it was a stable, right? Multi-purpose stable. Very cool and a very different. A park can be many things. So here you have it. So here's this old building. This is something I've seen a lot in real life. These big sort of skeletons almost of these buildings where you can kind of clearly tell that someone started to make something and they ran out of funding for one reason or another and they had to stop. So the building is kind of just left there. A little bit sad actually, because you do kind of hope that someone will take over and make something out of it. It's also not the nicest thing to be looking at, just having a big empty, you know, gray building, no walls. So there's a park element here as well. I have some monkey bars here. Not really sure I would feel comfortable with my kids playing in this park, at least not unsupervised. But there is a park here. You can see the chessboard here. You can play chess for 1 if you would like. You have some nice public bathrooms here. Don't you just love it when you get into a public bathroom and there's no toilet paper? That's happened to me more times than I can count, actually. And when it comes to the interior here, I do like this part here where it's like they started on the floor, but they never actually finished. So it's just kind of left in this half finished state. Really cool build. I think it's one of those where you can demolish it and start fresh, or maybe you can take whatever is here and try and reimagine either what it was meant to be or what you think it can be based on what's left of it. It's a very cool park area here. And then the two remaining lots are these here, Inked Inlet and Lighthouse Lookout, that are the empty lots in Iverstad. So that's it. That's a complete overview of the new world Nordhaven. Let me know what you guys think. And then we're going to continue on and check out Build By. Welcome to Build By. The first thing you might notice is that I'm wearing a green sweater and not a blue sweater. And that's because I had a Venice trip come in between filming, so the last segment was filmed a little bit earlier, and hence the different sweaters, and perhaps me looking and standing a little bit different as well. The purpose of this segment is for me to go through Build By and give you some of my opinions on it. If you don't want to listen to my opinion, then you can skip to the next segment, where I will basically take out all of the items of the pack and cycle through them so that you can check out all of the different swatches for them. So feel free to jump to that if you don't want to hear my personal opinion. And starting, I guess I can say that I knew that if a Nordic-inspired pack would be released, that it would most likely not be up my alley in terms of my preferred build style. That's because Nordic style tends to be very clean, much more modern, which is not really my typical style. If you know my style, you know it's very rustic and very cottage and that kind of vibe, and not really the typical Nordic style. Having said that, there are absolutely some things in the pack that I do actually like, and I think I will get a lot of use of. So we can check out, and I'll tell you the first few items that really stood out to me, because there are a couple. One of them is the stoves here, or I guess fireplace. I keep mixing up because of the words and how I translate them, but the fireplaces, because this is a very traditional, well, it's mainly Swedish. In Norway, we actually refer to these as Swedish ovens, because our word is oven, hence why I keep calling it different things. But this is a very typical thing, especially in old houses. You can find them mostly in Norwegian farmhouses, actually. Because if you were wealthier, you might be able to afford having bought one of these fancy Swedish ovens back in the day. So that's cool. I also do like this modern one because it's quite small and petite. I like that. It's very... can save you some space. And I do like that some of the fireplaces that they've come out with now, and we have more options in terms of smaller, neater fireplaces, which is really good. Also, these items, of course, are kind of a bit of a standout. They go on the exterior to decorate the building. But the other item that really stood out to me, besides this one fireplace, is the new drain we have. Look at this thing. So yeah, I know it's silly, it's a drain, but for some reason it just made me really excited. Okay, it looks so much better than the one we already have, so it made me happy. They were the two items that really stood out to me initially. But there's quite a few other items in here I think I will enjoy. Oh, actually, there's one more thing. The chandelier. This chandelier. Look at this thing. This is so pretty. I like lighting. I'm one of the few people that hate leaving in the subtle saucer. I use it as my build light constantly. It's the first thing I put in a build, but I always replace it because I don't like leaving it in. I actually do make an effort to put in lighting that I feel like fits the room. And because I have kind of categorized the subtle saucer as a build light for me, it feels wrong to leave it in the build because then it's like I haven't completed it yet. It's still in build mode in a weird way. So yes, I always replace my lights. If anything, I will leave the subtle saucer inside the light to give some extra light to the room if I need to. Kind of hide it in there, I guess. But I do like the chandelier. So those are probably the top 3 items that I noticed straight away that are things that I will probably use a lot or that I just like the look of. Now, as for everything else, yeah, a lot of it is modern. You can see here on the living room sets, very not me. It's very modern, more wood tables. So if you're into that style, this is definitely for you. The bed leaves a little bit to be desired. It didn't have a lot of exciting swatches, but it's a new bed, I guess. I do like this little cabinet here. That did kind of look neat, at least in the version that has the patterns on it. The bookshelf, I think, is actually kind of cool because you have 3 different versions. As you can see here, each color of the bookshelf has 3 different versions. So that makes it a little bit easier to not make everything look like it's exactly the same. They're still quite similar though. So there's that. But let's focus on the positive. Another thing are these partitions, which I thought were kind of cool. So you can kind of divide up a room a bit more. You also have these, which is a bit of a different, more like a screen. We have new curtains. If you heard me talk about curtains before, you know I hate a lot of the base game curtains in particular. But to be honest, most of the game's curtains, regardless of which pack, tend to be terrible. It's a bit too early for me to say whether or not these are going to be staple curtains that I will come back to and use. Only time will tell. But I'm always excited to see new curtains. Same with, well, rugs, actually. Not sure why. I just like rugs. So what else? Let's start with the swatches here for the new paints. There's a lot of this stucco color. It matches up with the exterior items that we have here. So a few different versions of that. I do kind of like this wallpaper, specifically this light one here with the flowers. That is kind of nice. We have more weatherboard type of relic. I'm sorry about the flickering, by the way. It's the game that's doing it. And there's a brick type of texture. Now, this staircase is neat, especially if you're into modern. This is actually the same staircase, so we only have one staircase coming into the game, essentially, but it has a left and a right version. So you can kind of see that, especially, and this is the easiest one to see, that there's no covering on this end here, because that's the left version, and vice versa on this. There is actually a side that you can put on so that it looks like a complete staircase, but you have to find it in Debug, so it doesn't exist in the normal build by. These railings here, we have this sort of, I think it's meant to be glass, and there's this iron one here, which match up with the fences we have. You can see we have 4 different, well, actually 5 different new fences. I like the one here with the lights on it. That's very cute. This is very modern. I don't tend to use these a lot, but it's good to have if not. This looks very like the picket fence we kind of already have in game, but I haven't really compared them side to side. I do like this fence. It's quite different. This one has a gate. I think there's a gate here. Yeah, this is a gate. This one has a gate here. And I don't think there was any gates for these two fences. So 3 out of 5 of the new fences have a gate, and then there's 2 railings. So you can have your own opinions on that. The windows are kind of split into these very modern. So these fit very well into if you want to do a type of typical Scandinavian modern exterior design that tends to use the weatherboard as you have here, and they tend to use these different sized, a bit randomly placed asymmetrical windows. You can play around with these a lot. We also have these really classic exterior windows here that kind of fits with the vibe of the pack. Doors, same thing. We have some new modern doors. I do like this one. It is very, what's the word? Industrial. And it's not a hugely industrial pack. So that surprised me a little bit. I've also left these signs up here. I haven't really used them in game. I think it's more of a gameplay item, but I think you can set signs and stuff for your business if you would like to do that. These are modern doors. I do like the fact that they are a single tile, so they're quite small, spacious. The front doors here have a lot of character. They do. Now, there is one thing I thought was pretty funny. I think it was it this one? No, hang on. Legendary narrow Nordic door. You gotta stop. You're too narrow, too legendary, too Nordic. They will install you. I thought, I don't often read the descriptions, but I just thought it was hilarious. Legendary narrow Nordic door, skinny legendary Nordic door. Does it have a different? No. Wait. They will place you. And this one says they will install you. So there's a slight difference there. Too skinny, too legendary, too Nordic. They will place you. Not sure if that's intentional or not, but that's how it is. So we got some floor tiles. You can kind of see I've sectioned them out here mostly to get the different swatches of them. I'm kind of neutral to most of them, but I do really like this patterned one here. I think it's really nice because it kind of has a worn kind of look to it, which I thought was kind of cool. So I like this one. The brick looks a little bit too, I think the word I really want to use is fake. As in, it doesn't look very worn, doesn't look very gritty, and for me, I just have an issue with that, I guess, in a strange way. The other thing, exterior details. You get this window here for the roof. I'm sure it has a name that I'm forgetting. We have a new chimney. We have these awnings here. We have, is this a frieze? I always mess up with what we're calling these things. Oh, I have it here. I can, yeah, a frieze or a trim if you'd like. You can see that I've put up this new wall plant we have here. Some very colorful swatches. And then these are some decorations. So this is a decoration you can use to embellish the exterior of the house that will kind of match up with these other exterior elements. I mean, curved star, I guess that's also something you can use for the exterior, interior. You can kind of go crazy. I do like this little lamp though. That's very cute. And what else did stand out? We do have these items here. They are basically displays so that you can set up your new business with displaying whatever you want to sell, which comes in handy and makes sense considering the pack. We have these new stalls. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people were excited about them. I never used them. I think it's much more a gameplay item than a builder item. And I found this a little bit odd, but we're getting a bathtub, but nothing else. I just thought it was funny that we could get a pink swatch. There's a few other swatches too, but I just like the pink one. We have some music items. Sorry, music. And we have a saxophone. This is a wall item, actually. I'm just having it sit on the ground. New microphone. Not sure why we needed a new microphone. It looks like all the other ones, if you ask me. We do have a new piano. I do like that it's the upright version. And then we have some of the new hobbies that come with the packs. We have tattooing. So we have the tattoo table. And we have some items here. Some colors. And some, well, tattoo gear, I presume. And then we have the pottery bench, and we have the kiln, I think it's called. Yes, a kiln. And then some pottery clutter. These machines are where, yeah, the kiosk. So this is where you can buy tickets. So when you come into the store, you pay for a ticket, because you can set up your business in multiple types of ways. So you can set it up to be like an entry fee, and that you pay by how long you stay, or it's a one-time fee. And there's a lot of ways to customize. So you can do that from this kiosk object. We have a new swing set. I'm not entirely sure why they felt we needed a new swing set. I mean, with Ravenwood, we had 2 swing sets. Now we're getting yet another swing set, and I'm wondering why did we have a need for another swing set? I'm just questioning. We have a few of these items here. We got a new trash can, if anyone's excited about that. We do have paintings. Paintings is another thing I tend to be very excited about, just because I like to do a lot of gallery walls, mostly because I struggle with filling walls in my builds. We have 2 new mirrors, and then we have these here, and they have a ton of swatches. If you go to the next segment, I will go through them, but it's basically these 3 are the same, but in the sense of that they will have different icons for a multitude of different businesses, so that you can have them in a black version, in a white version, or this more sort of image or picture version that is a little bit more detailed, so that you can kind of make your storefront or your business look however you would like it to look. Mentioning that, you do also have this item here, which has a lot of swatches in terms of more of a graffiti style, I guess you could say. That's also something you can check out in the next segment. What I did find was really cool was these lights, these string lights, because you actually have them in quite a few different versions. So you have this curved one, you have these straight ones, vertical and horizontal, and you can actually do quite a lot with them, so that you can, instead of the ones that we had from before that were kind of a complete item, if you would like to call it that, I guess, that you just put on the wall, this is a lot easier to customize exactly to how you want it. So you can make curves, you can make straight lines, and you can kind of, yeah, do a lot of different things with that. Here you have another one of these. So these are the same item, just a few different swatches. There's also more of them. We have a new bar. I do like the lighting under here. That does look very chic. So I am a fan of that. We have the coffee bar. And yeah, we have a bench and a sink, but no other kitchen elements or anything like that. There was one thing I wanted to point out, and that's the fact that we actually have a new, what is it called? Here, roof trim. So you can see this gray roof trim is actually new, and it does have this sort of double color, I guess you could say. So you can see that it's two different colors on it. So this is very interesting and something you can play around with. But I think that was it. I think I've covered the things I kind of wanted to highlight. So if you would like to go through all the items with all the swatches, stay tuned for the next segment. If you want to see what's in Debug, I have Debug at the very last segment, and I will cycle through Debug. There are some items in Debug I did jump over, mostly because with this pack there is a ton of things relating to the new hobbies, and I didn't want to pull out every single one for Debug, so you will have to check that out yourself, but I at least pulled out a few of them so that you could see. And there's also a few of the really, buildings that are just big gray that has no detail on it that I also didn't bother to pull out. So I kind of just pulled out what I thought was worth looking at, essentially, for the Debug section, because it was quite a big Debug section with this pack. So that's it. You can continue on if you would like to see those segments. Thank you for listening to my opinions.